Welcome to the first in a series that is currently untitled, but it involves getting to know jockeys who you will be becoming more familiar with as their careers develop. I'm Jake Wilkes, and I am delighted today apprentice jockey Taryn Langley joins me for the very first episode. Taryn is a 20-year-old jockey claiming £7 and is based with David Simcock, fresh off the back of a winner last night at Wolverhampton, in which we should discuss in more detail shortly. She has 16 wins from 165 rides in her career, operating at a 10% strike rate. But to be honest, you can firmly upgrade these statistics when you see the prices of the horses she has been riding. Taryn has recorded winners at prices of 12 to 1, 16 to 1, 25 to 1. And if you place £1 on each of her rides this year, you would be living lavish, returning £44 and 57 pence to a £1 stake. This record was enhanced last night as she guided Pessoa to a smooth 1 1/4 length victory at Wolverhampton for Adrian Wintle. And this is the most obvious starting point, Taryn. Thank you for coming on. Things went very smoothly last night for you.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Jake. It's yeah, I can't really say much more apart from I had a fun time and it was quite an easy ride. We normally sit in midfield to the back end of the field, especially when there's a lot of pace up front. And last night we thought they're either going to go flat to the pan, especially into that first bend, or they're going to hack round. And they went an even gallop, and it's almost good that I managed to get the pitch I did. Sat in the first 4 from stall 9. He jumped well enough and I kicked. So I had the option to either drop back and get a bit more cover, or if they were going too quick. But if they weren't going quick enough, I was in the right place to kick when I needed to. So they didn't go mad early, and when they went that even gallop, I just was able to wing off the bend like we know he likes to. He likes to have his own room and slingshot. And as soon as I saw Aspire to Glory off the bridle and Kieran O'Neill was sort of driving away, I thought, let's go, Pessoa. And yeah, he he's in flying form, and he always is, there or thereabouts. We know he gets the mile 2, we know he gets 7, and yesterday just we kicked and we kept going.
You were riding for Adrian Wintle yesterday, and I was having a flick through your stats, and you rode for a lot of trainers. You rode for Jeremy Scott, Peter Chapel-Hyam, James Ferguson, Philip McBride, Conrad Allen, Michael Keedy, David Loughnane and Jack Morland. But you have also rode winners for Ed de Giles, David Simcock, your boss, Scott Dixon, Adrian Wintle, Dominic French-Davis, Joseph Tweet and John Berry. That's a good backing of people to have behind you.
Yeah, I've got to sit here and thank all of them, but it was a slow burner to sort of get those rides. I think like last year I was very much under the radar, and that was sort of what I wanted. I was riding for Rich Hughes most of the year, and he got me my agent, and my agent sort of said, look, we're going to use this year as you to sort of we weren't worried about A, who we rode for, B, what we rode and where they were finishing. It was honestly just me to sit in races in 10 different positions in 1 week and just see what was going on in front of me and learn on the job. But I have to say, since moving into Newmarket, the contacts like James Ferguson, Charlie McBride, Michael Keedy, everyone up here is so close knit. Like I ride out on that heath day in, day out, and everyone talks. And I have to say, I think moving up here and having that sort of you're on stage almost every day, and trainers talking up on the gallop, it probably has helped. And I just think that this year I've just been able to keep my name in the paper as it is. So it's good to have it's been good to have those backings recently, and even into the back end of last year, it was good to start having more and more doors open.
You started out with Richard Hughes before moving to David Simcock in December of 2024. How does a normal week look for you, i.e. what is your riding day-to-day schedule?
So, I mean, it's a lot different now than it was 6 months ago. So, like you said, I was with Richard Hughes, and I was with him for 3 years, and he the most respect for him. He taught me so much, and even now I'd still ride in races, and he'd be in the back of my mind after stern word he'd had with me about other rides, and I thought I'd never forget what he's just said to me. So beforehand I'd be in the yard for 6:30. I'd ride 6 lots, and if I wasn't racing, I'd go to the gym or what have you, and then I'd go back to work for evening stables. So that was last year's. It's very mundane because I wasn't riding every day. Sort of 4 or 5 times a week on a good week. So it was very structured last year. This year, since moving to Simcock back in November, the agreement was for me to come up here part-time for him. He'd hold my license, I'd be part-time, and I'd have the freedom to sort of go where I needed to go and ride these horses that needed me on them. So each morning I'd be in at least 2 yards, I'd say. So Monday is pretty normal. I'd just do 4 lots for Simcock. I'd leave, and if I'm not riding in the afternoon, I'll be in the gym by 1 o'clock. I'll do an hour and a half in there with the IGF team at Peter O'Sullivan. And then the rest of the day is free to my own. But like gallop mornings and things, I could be in about, some mornings I'm in 3 yards in one morning. Like Jack Morland, if he rings me to go and gallop, I'll meet him up at the gallop and do a set of gallopers for him. Same with James Ferguson. If that phone rings and they say, can you jump on this horse tomorrow at this time, meet me at the gallop, where I'm part-time, and Simcock is very much like, if you need to ride out, like go and do it. If it isn't, the only time he's a little bit sort of, well, no, I've got my own gallopers to do, as long as I'm there to gallop his horses, which is completely fair. He's I've got free rein, which is fantastic, and there wouldn't be many, if any, £7 claimers that has that freedom, and that's sort of, I think, why the horses are rolling in that are there to win, because I've been able to go in and show my face and sit on these horses, and contacts are very much what we all need. So yeah, my day would be obviously ride out in the morning for whoever I need to. If I'm not race riding, I'll go to the gym, and that'll be my day sort of over. But if I'm race riding, it could depend. I mean, some days I have to leave early enough that I only ride one horse before I go, and I drive like 4 hours down to Chepstow last week and ride 3 there, and then do the 4-hour drive back, get back late and be back up again at 5:30 to do it all again the next day. It varies, very different day to day. Like today, rode out this morning, and I'm not racing this evening, so it's very much an off day for me, gearing up for Goodwood at the end of the week. So, but yeah, it can vary, and it's very much freedom, and it's up to me how much or where I need to go. So it's good.
The life of a jockey can provide quite unsociable hours at times, but when you have that sort of backing behind you, the support from everybody, especially a young jockey coming through like yourself, having that bank of people is really important, and it's really paying dividends for yourself. We're going to touch on the 22nd of May, a day you will almost certainly remember as a positive. You rode your first career double, riding Hidden Pearl for John Berry and Visibility for Scott Dixon. That must have been a great feeling for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Yarmouth for 3 rides and 3 very good chances. I mean, the betting market would have said that I thought my best chances were going to be Shaw Park and Visibility. They were both going there in off wins, or Visibility had been seconded by a nose the week before, and I thought, right, those two have definitely got a chance. And I'd spoken to John the night before, and he said, look, she goes for this race every year, and she won it last year. The last 2 years she'd won it, and you can always guarantee with John Berry his horses are going to be fit. So I knew she's gonna run a very good race. There was no doubt about that. And I have to say, sort of looking back, it was a mile 6, and I remember 2+2 made the running, which I've won on myself, and we didn't go that quick anyway. And I hit the 2 pole, and I thought, bloody hell, everything is off the bridle, nudging away, and I've got no one around me to follow. I'm just gonna have to sit and hope I keep going, because I've got nothing to challenge me to keep me going. And bless the filly, she's hit the 2 pole, and I've gone, right, I will kick now, see what happens. And she's absolutely flown, at 14-1, and then he goes and backs it up with a 14-1 second as well with Kieran Schumacher in the same race. So no, that was the first sort of, oh bloody hell, maybe do we try for the treble? And then the second ride, Shaw Park, he was third. He ran a very good race. He was just flat from the week before. I think he needed a bit more time in between races, and he's very one paced. And we sort of just found 2 more that were a little bit quicker off the bat from us. And Visibility, I mean, going into that race, he drifted out about an hour before, and he was getting shorter and shorter in price. And I jumped off favourite, and I thought in the stalls he started to lose his head a little bit. He's just rearing up with me, and he just sort of wanted to get on with it. And I just thought, come on, is this way you're going to lose the race in the stalls? And on paper there wasn't actually that much pace. Anyway, Sylvester changes tactics and guns it from the word go. Anyway, Visibility's jumped slow and what have you, and I've just bided my time knowing that he keeps going, and Sylvester's got to stop at some point. So it was a great day, and I seem to quite like Yarmouth at the minute. It seems to be going my way the last few meetings I've been there. But yeah, no, it's like anything in race. In any winners, you get 1, you get 2. You're just looking for the next one. You can sort of only enjoy it for a couple of days, and then you're back in reality. But no, it was a good day, and I'll always remember it, I'd say.
It's nice you touched on that, though, how you thought after the first winner, there could be a treble on the cards here. That's refreshing to hear someone actually say that, as opposed to going, oh yeah, just focus on the next ride. That was actually quite nice. Goodwood Friday, it's an apprentice meeting. Whilst most people will be down the pub on a Friday night, you will be at Goodwood. You've got 1 ride for Chris Gordon on a horse called Unico. There was 3 to be declared, but City of York and Charlie's Choice, who you've both rode before, will not be there. Just briefly, how good are these apprentice meetings in showcasing a young jockey's talents?
I think Goodwood and the evening of apprentice racing is absolutely it's priceless, because it's, although they're what we call open apprentice races, so like the likes of Jack Doughty and Joe Levy, you can still ride in them even though they wrote their claim out last week. It allows sort of everyone to just try and get as many rides in the paper as we can, and it's like we're not competing against professionals who are, their agents will say, I've got 4 jockeys available, and if the first jockey on that agents list is available, which invariably tends to be your senior jockeys who have been there, done that, got the group ones, what have you. They'll always and tend to be booked, and then it's there is sort of like a pecking order. But I think it's great, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, especially because us apprentices, we all have our own almost like own little cliques and things. We all get on, and it will be very good. And I just think there'll be a lot of sort of publicity there for us as well. And I just think it's going to be for a few of us the thing that clicks and gets this season going for us. And it's a shame there's not more sort of just apprentice meetings. Goodwood would be the highlight meeting for an apprentice this year. We have the apprentice races scattered throughout the week, throughout the year, which equally help as well. Because you have the likes of the jockey coaches all being there, talking us through what to do and what not to do, and we can all sit in the steward's room and look through the races as well. So that's always helpful. There's many benefits, and Friday, the cameras will be on, and there'll be a big crowd there, and it will just be, useful and helpful for all of us to be able to ride at a premier track as well. It took me a while before I was even, riding at, Group 1 level tracks. It'll be good learning curve for a lot of us, put it that way.
This ties closely into the busy fixture calendar. That's a topical subject, seems to be forever. Talking about how much there could be too much racing and the lack of prize money, etc. We could go on for hours about this. But particularly since the implementation of riding at one meeting a day during the COVID-19 pandemic, one of my arguments when discussing the fixture campaign reduction would be that if the calendar was condensed, there would be less opportunities for apprentice jockeys. So having a busy calendar, would you say, definitely helps you get your name out there and get more experience and more riding?
Yeah, definitely. I think so obviously the flat season starts officially properly in May through to October. And when we start having 5 meetings a day, that's when more and more spares keep coming through. When owners and trainers have their preferred jockeys to be riding their preferred horses. So, when the big guns are all away at XYZ meetings, you can then start filtering through the apprentices that are, they're ready to win, fit and ready to go. And sort of through the winter, it's a lot harder to find those gaps, because we could have through the winter on a busy day 2 all-weather meetings, and that's really not enough to cover sort of 20-25% of the amount of jockeys in this country. So I do think that having the amount of fixtures we do is good for apprentices. I can see the arguments against it, especially prize money wise, because we're having to split it every which way. And interestingly, I was having a conversation with one of the senior lads a few days ago about, should we go back to 2 meetings? And, I think you'll ask a lot of the senior jockeys, and some will say yes and some will say no. And I think there could almost be like a halfway point where a jockey should be allowed to do one day a week where we're allowed to do 2 meetings, just so again we can all filter ourselves into these spares, because in the past I've had to choose between going to Lingfield for 3 rides or going to Newcastle for 1, but the one is for my for your boss, for your employer. So in that instance you're gonna go with your main employer. But like if that probably wasn't the best example because Lingfield and Newcastle are very far away. If you're doing Lingfield and Epsom in the same day, you had one at Lingfield for your main employer and then 3 at Epsom. You could easily say yes, I'll be at both meetings because you could time dependent. You could be at both. So it's I think that would be sort of a great halfway point. But yeah, I think you're never going to please a jockey truly. We always find something to complain about, and I just think that yes, we are very busy. The race calendar is so sort of flat. Calendar is very compact. But I think if we lost, a significant amount of what we've already got, there'd be uproar, and I don't think we'd really find the implications and the effect that would have until it was already here. It's just a shame that there's sort of opening up a minefield here, but the prize money aspect of it isn't where we want it to be. But there's so many different factors that go into it. But yeah, I definitely think that having 5 meetings some days, it's a good thing.
Touching on Lingfield that you just mentioned, the biggest win of your career came at Lingfield on all-weather finals day in aboard Tides of War at odds of 25-1. You rode him since at second at Goodwood, and he's entered actually again on Sunday. What a day that was for yourself, winning a nice valuable pot. I think the prize was around £25,000. That must have been a great boost for you.
Yeah, Tides of War. He's an 8-year-old now, and I galloped him the week before going into Lingfield, and it's the first time I'd really sat on him. And he didn't really go. He didn't really set my world on fire. And I sort of said to David, I said, "Are you worried?" He goes, "No, not really. We know he loves Goodwood, but we'll run him at Lingfield, and he'll run a good race, but we'll just see how we get on." And he just going around there, first time out for the year, really. I'd ridden him at Southall probably a month, 6 weeks beforehand, and it was just to sort of blow the winter cobwebs away from him. And we went into Lingfield, and he sort of just everything. He was in a rhythm. He was sort of wanting to go almost a little bit too soon, but I've been able to sit and wait. And if you're in the right position at Lingfield, you can use the bend to your advantage and just get out the way and kick. It's 2.5 furlongs, 2 furlongs, 1.5 furlongs off the bend, and I've just managed to sort of come out from. I remember I had Billy Loughnane in front of me, and I just was following all the way around and pulled him out, and he's just held on. But no, look, it was really good, and we all had quite like some more winners like that. And then he went to Goodwood, and we ran into Mr. Hempstead. He Mr. Hempstead's ran in the Derby. He's very well handicapped, and he ran a very good race that day. Probably the ground we probably could have done with a little bit more rain that day as well. So looking at the weather forecast going into Sunday, hopefully that rain will arrive. It's meant to, and 2 miles again on Sunday. So I'm very much hoping I get the call up for him. He was in very good order this morning, so hopefully I'll be back on him on Sunday.
And having that sort of horse you can connect with and take you up the ladder, as it were, is such a big boost into the sport, into a male-dominant industry. How do you find being a young female jockey coming through, and have you taken inspiration from the likes of Rachel Blackmore, who recently announced her retirement, but not only her, on the flat scene, Hayley Turner and Holly Doyle, Nicola Curry? How much of an impact have they had on you wanting to become a jockey?
I mean, massively. Like you say, male-dominated sport. I was talking to my agent about this a few days ago. It will always, at the minute, I think there is still the stigma that it's going to be harder for trainers to change their ways and put younger women up. It's sort of racing is very much, it's been the way it has been for years. But your likes of Hayley, being the first woman to hit 1,000 winners, and even she was very closely connected to Simcock for years. Even just galloping her in the mornings. The first 4 months I was here was fantastic. I remember when I was based in Lambourne from 16 with Joe Chute. I was going into Archie Watson's and starting to gallop properly with upsides Holly, and I just remember looking at Holly one day, and I was just listening to where she was that day and what she was riding. I just thought, that's what I want. That's what I want to do. The fact that she's been able to do it, Hayley's been able to do it. Very good riders alongside them, Nicola Curry, Josephine Gordon, and probably the youngest, newest heroine to hit the scene, Safi Osborne. All of them, especially on the flat, have really sort of carved a path for especially female apprentices to come through. And then with them carving the path for us, it's very much down to me and my fellow female apprentices to put our foot down and see what we've got. And I think it's very similar on the jump scene. I haven't got the guts that the likes of Rachel Blackmore and Lily Pinchin have got. I think they're absolutely barking mad. I've scored about 5 times, and that does me just fine. You wouldn't catch me doing 40 miles an hour into the champion hurdle at Cheltenham, put it that way. But no, I think that it's just that there's been a very long-standing sort of stereotypical, men are stronger than girls aren't quite as good, and that's completely inaccurate. I think every jockey's got to be fit, every jockey's got to be strong, but some horses actually suit females and some suit men. It's all very much about how each individual rides and how they get on with horses. But no, it's great to have those women above me who have been able to almost give me the chance to sort of put my name out there.
Absolutely. I think for some reason, it's still in 2025 a big gap for women riders that's not being utilised. I think talent-wise and technique-wise, they're just as good as any other male jockey. And hopefully, as racing progresses and more female jockeys come onto the scene, hopefully we can change that. For your career aspirations, you rode 65 horses last year. You've already had 79 rides so far this year, so you've absolutely smashed through that target. Where does the future of Taryn Langley lie? What are your aspirations for your career?
Well, firstly, I'd want to definitely ride my claim out and not be an apprentice at some point in the near future. I think for this year, I'd love a big Saturday ITV winner. York, Goodwood. We've got Ascot around the corner. Big handicaps are coming up. It'd be great to just get in there and prove myself on the bigger stage. Like a lot of apprentices, we need that one horse that can give us that big break, and it's fight or flight at that point. You're either gonna step up to the plate or you're not. But you just need that break to sort of be the tipping point. Looking far into the future, I'd love group winners, listed winners, to be on the main stage, like Tom Marquand, O'Sheen. It's that would be the dream. To ride abroad as well would definitely be on my to-do list. Dubai, America. It's going to be a tough battle. That's for sure. And I've got a long way to go and a lot of learning to get me onto the right horses to enable me to do that. But no, just definitely, I'd love an international career. The International Jockeys Challenge in Hong Kong would be definitely on my list of achievements I want to tick off. But yeah, look, just following the footsteps of any decent group winning jockey, really, and just to keep relevant and keep riding winners.
Taryn, that's wonderful. Thank you very much for your time, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
No, thank you.